ReconAthlete.com podcast is brought to you by Lawnman ATX and Kreitz Market.
It's me, Snakes. I got the stuff.
Leave it on the doorstep and get the hell out of here.
All right, Johnny. But what about my money?
What money?
AC said you had some dough for me.
That a fact. How much do I owe you?
AC said 10%.
I always want to just keep going. Go jingle bell, jingle bell, jingle bell rock. Yeah,
You're gonna lose me like halfway through that song.
I know,
That's when you start humming the words.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Recon Athlete, welcome y'all. Good morning. Episode number 36. Chris Sanchez, Paul Rodriguez. I'm sure everybody sees an empty chair here, and that's because Zach Lucetto is at the state championship games. He was there yesterday and then is there today.
Yep.
So he's checking out all the football games. You know, y'all were in the messenger, like talking about all the games yesterday going on, and we'll talk a little bit about results from that a little bit later on.
I was just surprised he was up before 9 a.m. on a Saturday.
Well, that's because he's with his dad.
I was shook, bro. I literally was looking at my phone. I'm like, wait a minute.
Like, if I'm traveling with my dad, dude, we're up at 6 a.m. You know?
Not my house.
Nah, bro. Like, it's just, that's just it, man. Like, yeah. My dad, he's up early, man.
Yeah.
So I figured maybe Zach's dad's probably like mine. So, I was kind of surprised looking at the messenger. I was like, dude, why is Zach on here already?
Yeah.
So, we're going to do some NFL real quick, and I'm going to try to start my watch party here on this Facebook Live. So everybody can, go on Facebook Live and join us here. Let's start that sucker.
Man, it's the end, Chris. It's the end for some of our coverage for high school football, but we'll get into that a little bit later. And it's a sad day, but it's also one of the most joyous days too. It is, and
we'll, like you said, Paul, we'll talk a little bit about that a little bit later on. But let's go ahead and get into the NFL because I want to shout out to Adam Bergner, who was hanging out last night,
Nice.
and he gave me some feedback.
Oh, okay.
He was like, because he was like, hey man, I like, watching the podcast, blah, blah, when you're on Facebook Live. And I was like, well, like, what do you like to hear? He's like, oh, I like when y'all do the NFL, like the game previews and talk Cowboys. And I was like, all right, cool. Well, we'll start off with that.
Bet.
And shout out real quick to Jonathan Lockery and the Lockery brothers, Jeremy and Jeff. And we went out to a little party bus, little Santa sleigh ride is what they called it. And,
I like that.
Yeah, it was Santa sleigh ride.
Austin, Texas.
Yeah, we took a little tour of Revelry on the Boulevard over here on North Lamar, went down to Corner Bar, and then went over to the east side. Great time had by all. Santa was there. They had DJs going. They had a live band going on the east side. So it was a great time, man. We had a great time. So shout out to Jonathan Lockery and the family of Revelry and Corner Bar bars.
Yeah, man. I was kind of following the little trip off Santa's sleigh ride through Austin on Instagram. So those stories were up there. They were looking pretty dope, and you can kind of just see the festivities going on. It was real nice. It looked like I had a good time.
Yeah, it was fun, man. We had a great time. I'm a little tired, so if I stumble around,
you look good, bro. You're not wearing sunglasses, so you're looking good.
If I stumble around a little bit, y'all, my apologies. So just had a fun time last night. So. Shout out to them. And let's go ahead and get into this. We do have 3 games today. And I forgot about this.
Yeah.
I don't know how I just didn't know, like, because we were talking about it last night, at Revelry, and like somebody was like, oh, yeah, we're talking about the games and stuff. And somebody's like, oh, yeah, there's 3 games tomorrow. I was like, oh, yeah. There's 3 games on Saturday. And I was like, dude, I totally forgot about that. But those are Texans versus Bucks,
right?
Bills versus Patriots,
right?
And Rams versus 49ers.
Yeah.
And the thing about the games today, all playoff implications.
Definitely.
So Texans versus Bucks. Texans can clinch the AFC South title with a win or a Titans loss.
Mm-hmm.
And if the Texans lose and the Titans win, Houston secures a playoff spot with a Steelers win. So, and then the Bucks are out.
Right.
Chris Godwin's out. So if you're in your Super Bowl for fantasy football,
or if you're playing for total points,
yeah,
so you got to kind of keep that in mind.
Yeah. But the Buccaneers are on a 4-game win streak.
Man, did you see Jameis Winston slinging that rock
Dude.
early in the first quarter last week?
And that's what I'm saying. He's had what was it, 2 games where he had 450 and 4?
Yeah, exactly. Over 400 yards throwing for 2 games in a row. And that's to me, that's Bruce Arians.
Yeah.
That's Bruce Arians. And I think finally it's taking a whole season, and now you're starting to see some of those fruits that they've been just kind of slowly developing Jameis. And it's just amazing. We've been talking about coaching with quarterbacks. If you bring in the right kind of coach, and Bruce Arians has coached some of the best legends in the game, Peyton Manning, and of course, the time he had with Kurt Warner in Arizona, this guy can develop a quarterback, and hopefully we can see some of that with another team we'll talk about probably at the end of the show or at the end of this segment.
Yeah, and that Texans game, I think that's the first one today at noon.
That is going to be at noon. Houston is a 3-point favorite on the road in Tampa Bay. I like it. I think they can cover 3 points on the road if they play as well as they played last week, especially with their defense. The secondary seems to be getting a little bit more healthy at this time, and we know J.J. Watt's not in there, but I think that the linebacking core with the pressure that the front four are getting for the Houston Texans is going to be tremendous. Let's just see if that secondary can hold up with Jameis Winston throwing that ball deep down the field, because the deep threats are really what's making the Tampa Bay Buccaneers get these early leads in the first part of the game.
What's the over-under on that? Do you have that in front of you?
Let's see. Let me just go ahead and dive real quick into that.
Yeah, just because I'm interested because I feel like the way the Tampa Bay offense has been going the last few weeks, Houston's offense, Deshaun, DeAndre, Carlos Hyde's not going to play today. Or no, he was limited.
He was limited.
He was limited yesterday, so he might play today.
And of course, our prognostication with Will Fuller came fulfilled,
right?
Because he's going to be limited or he's questionable this week to play. And we all know he'll give you one big play and then he pulls something and he's done. So I don't think he's playing today. Let me just look at a report real quick.
Yeah,
I don't think it looks like he's going to be questionable, but he may play. And that's just kind of his MO for some reason. Every time he gets in week in and week out when he suits up.
Yeah.
But looking at that over-under, 50.5 for the over-under for this game.
Okay, 50.5. That's not too high.
I think that's probably right where I think it should be. I think it maybe 52 would be another line or another over-under that may be there. Mm-hmm. But 50.5, I think they're banking on that defense to be real, real stingy, maybe early in the game to kind of push a little bit more conservative play calling in the second half. That's just where I see it.
Okay. I just feel like the way the Buccaneers offense has been rolling, there's going to be some points scored, but yeah.
With Houston, you never know. They could just get shot out of a cannon and just put up 40 points. You just don't know.
All right. So Texans, Bucks, and then Bills versus Patriots. Patriots can win the AFC East title. If they beat the Bills today. That and a Chiefs loss, and the Patriots clinch a first-round bye. The Bills' victory pushes off the crowning of a AFC East champion until Week 17.
Yep.
So there's a lot of Bills fans today.
You better believe it. They were in Dallas a couple of weeks ago.
There's a lot of Bills fans. But I'm just saying in general, because people don't like the Patriots at all.
There's going to be a lot of people
on
that bandwagon for the Bills.
Yeah. I feel like people do not like the Patriots. And so I think with the Bills, they're kind of they're underdog. They're a feel-good story.
You think they're a feel-good story?
Because,
I'm putting more respect on their name, Chris.
Well, I'm just saying, I guess it's perspective, right?
Okay.
So from my perspective, when you think of the Buffalo Bills, I think of them when I was young, and
don't get caught in that legacy, Chris.
I know I get caught in that nostalgia, and I'm like the Jim Kelly and all those Super Bowl losses, and you're like, oh, the poor Bills. Oh, hope they win.
I'm saying, don't get caught in that New England legacy.
That's true.
Don't get caught because they're coming off 2 losses. And earlier in the year, when these two teams faced off, it was a defensive struggle the whole game. The final was 13-10, and in my opinion, I think that McDermott gave the blueprint to show up how to withhold this Patriot offense. And I think that's also what's going to be coming into this game too. It's like they always say, it's harder to beat a team twice. Mm-hmm. Well, this may be the time where the Bills may get a victory late in the season, and props to the NFL for scheduling divisional matchups late in the year so that we don't have NFL superstars sitting out as they go into the playoffs.
Yeah, and this is going to be a fun game. All 3 of these games are going to be fun games today. Hopefully I can get a nap in before they start. Rams versus 49ers. The 49ers win ensures that they can remain on track to win the NFC West if they get a victory over the Seahawks in Week 17. So 49ers need to win today, and then next week, and they, NFC West champions.
It's a fun time to be in the NFC West.
Right. And and then the Rams, they need a win or a Vikings loss to avoid playoff elimination. So the Rams are fighting for their lives.
Yep.
The 49ers are trying to win the NFC West. You've got the Patriots trying to clinch a first-round bye and an AFC title. You got the Texans with the AFC South title on the line. I mean, there's a lot going on today. There's Rams versus 49ers game. Any prognostication on your part there, Paul?
Well, 49ers are a 7-point favorite at home in Santa Clara. Rams coming off that devastating loss last week to the Cowboys. 49ers last week, going into that last week, they were number 1 in the NFC. Okay. After the loss that they had, they went to number 6. Mm-hmm. So because they went to 5. Because they went to 5, they went and lost home field advantage. If they can win today, and if that matchup goes into next week, if whoever wins that NFC West game with Seattle and with the 49ers will not only get the NFC West title, divisional title, but they'll get home field advantage also throughout the playoffs. Very, very powerful game to be played, because if you have to go through the NFC and go through the Pacific Northwest, that's a lot tougher than going through Santa Clara with that very, very warm, comfortable weather.
Yeah, I mean, you go up to Seattle and about these times, I mean,
dreary, rainy, cloudy,
cold,
gloomy. And the 12th man will be in your
ear. And that's what I was going to say. And the fans love it.
Exactly.
The fans love it. And so like you're playing against a whole lot of elements when you're going up to Seattle in the playoffs.
They were born into that. They didn't come into it. They were born into that type of environment.
All right. So that's once again today, Texans, Bucks, Bills, Patriots, Rams versus 49ers. Get in front of your TV if you don't want to do anything today. It's kind of cloudy outside. I mean, but
I saw the sun trying to break up some clouds. We'll see. It'll probably clear up maybe this afternoon.
Yeah. So shout out to Austin, Texas weather, because
it has a mind of its own.
Yeah. I mean, it's like last night it was cold and rainy. Today's probably gonna be sunshine. It's 30 degrees and then it's 80 degrees. All right, Sunday. I'm gonna start off Saints versus Titans. What do we got there?
Saints versus Titans. New Orleans, wow, 2-point favorite on the road.
So
people buying that Tannehill hype still. The boys in Vegas must be buying it.
Yeah, and I got my arms crossed here because I'm like, because people are buying the Tannehill hype, and the Saints a win. I mean, they're in the playoffs, and so they're just not like they're not really playing for anything. They're playing for standings. Because right now they're behind the Seahawks and the Packers because of tiebreakers. And so they're trying to kind of climb up a little bit. And then you got the Titans who are fighting for their playoff lives right now. So who's more motivated? You know what I'm saying at this point? I mean, I know the Saints are motivated, but there can also be like, well, are we, how much are we going to put out there? We kind of need, our players healthy.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not saying they're going to sit anybody in week 16, but how motivated are they to climb up the rankings? And I think the Titans have a lot of motivation and a great quarterback in Tannehill, or great quarterback play. I'm sorry, I don't want to call him a great quarterback.
Great quarterback play. Yeah,
great quarterback play of recent.
Yeah, definitely.
In Tannehill. So I think that's where that line's possibly those kind of factors are coming in with that 2-point line. Paul, what do you think?
I mean, I don't buy it. I'll gladly take the Saints -2, but I think that they're going to have their way with this game. I think that Drew Brees broke the record last week for most touchdowns as a quarterback in the NFL. They're 11-3. Well, so are Green Bay, and so are the 49ers, and so are the Seattle Seahawks. They're playing for home field advantage just as well, because if they went out and one of those other teams slip up a couple of times, they'll be right there in the mix. So I think there's a lot to play for the New Orleans Saints, and man, I see them winning easily by a touchdown or 10 points.
All right, well, I'll jump on that Paul Rodriguez train if I were a betting man. Ravens versus Browns, what you got on that line?
Baltimore, whoo. Now, earlier in the year, Cleveland beat them.
Okay.
But Lamar Jackson wasn't Lamar Jackson.
Right.
9.5 points favored Baltimore.
So Ravens clinch a home field advantage throughout the playoffs with a win. Okay.
Yep.
Or losses by the Chiefs and Patriots. I mean, but
probably not
going to happen.
Yeah.
So Ravens win home field advantage throughout the playoffs.
Might as well just walk into the Super Bowl.
So,
in
I
Miami.
mean, 9.5, I think they're going to cover that.
Easy. Yeah.
I feel like they're playing for a lot today.
It's a dumpster fire in Cleveland right now. It's a dumpster fire. Freddie Kitchens is on his way out. Baker Mayfield needs a new quarterback coach to reharness his mechanics. OBJ and Jarvis Landry are very vocal about leaving Cleveland.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Myles Garrett is out with his suspension. What's going on in Cleveland? Besides Chubb and Hunt, they don't have any weapons.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, I think at this point, if you're the Cleveland Browns, you're trying to play spoiler. If you're Baker Mayfield, you're trying to play for next year, maybe get some,
This is a recruiting game.
Right.
This is a recruiting game right now.
Yeah. So you're playing for something if you're the Browns. Maybe not a playoff spot because, their playoff window is pretty small. It's like that.
Exactly.
So there's still a chance for them, but they're pretty much out of it. So right now, if you're the Browns, like you said, recruiting game.
Yeah.
But the Ravens just have so much to play for. If they're able to get, especially in the AFC with the Chiefs and the Patriots, even talk about the Steelers. You want to play those games at home in the AFC for sure.
Yeah.
NFC, home field advantage. Like sometimes, I don't know. I just feel like, especially if you're the Cowboys, if home field advantage doesn't mean much.
Obviously, it doesn't mean winning doesn't mean much right now.
Right. So, but I just feel like in the AFC, home field advantage kind of means a little bit more. I don't know why I get that, but I just think because of the competition level in the AFC right now.
Yeah.
I think the home field advantage means a little bit more in the AFC and the NFC. I don't know. I don't know. Am I crazy for thinking that, Paul?
No. I think it is because potentially you could have a home field advantage team in a very neutral weather area like Santa Clara or potentially New Orleans, which is a controlled environment.
Good point.
But with the AFC, it's going to either be in New England, Kansas City, or Baltimore. Cold weather areas, and the cold weather teams are always going to be favored. Just in there's a matchup today. If you have a cold weather team going to a warm area, subtropical area, it's hard for those cold weather teams to win in those type of environments. It's all a part of where in the logistics you're going to be playing, especially in the playoff time. So we'll see how it fares out.
So Ravens 9.5-point favorites. Paul, you think that they'll cover? I think they will too.
Easy.
So we're kind of, we got to find something we don't agree on here for pretty soon.
I think it's coming. Yeah. I really think it's coming.
Real quickly, of some games that really don't matter: Jaguars versus Falcons. What do you got on that? What's the line?
Atlanta 7-point favorite.
Huh. Interesting.
I ain't buying that nonsense.
Yeah, me neither.
Chris?
Me neither.
I thought that was going to be the one.
Me neither. I'm not. Panthers versus Colts.
Indy 6.5.
6.5-point favorite?
6.5-point favorite.
Huh.
I ain't buying that nonsense either. McCaffrey going to have something to say about that game.
I think the Colts can. I don't know. I guess McCaffrey, but
who's going to score points for Indianapolis?
Brisket.
Who's he going to throw it to?
Pascal, is he not? Is he out?
Nobody.
Zach Pascal?
Nobody. T.Y. Hilton's still hurt. He can't even break off of routes.
All right.
You got three running backs that can't score in the red zone either. So I just don't understand.
And that's going to be in Indy, right?
That's at Indianapolis, yeah.
So you got a fast track for McCaffrey,
and it's a controlled environment.
You got a fast track for McCaffrey,
setting up the play action, and Kyle Allen's got an arm.
I know. I want to take the Colts just because we've been agreeing on everything.
Curtis Samuel's going to get deep, take the top off that defense. I promise you.
God, I want to take the Colts. I want to take the Colts, but you're convincing me not to. I'm going to take the Colts. For some reason, I'm taking the Colts. I don't know why. There's no reason. There's no great prognostication on my point. I just want to be opposite of Paul on this one. All right, Steelers versus Jets. What do you got on that?
Steelers 3.5-point favorite.
All right, Steelers. They're in the number 6 seed right now.
Mm-hmm.
They can't really clinch or be eliminated from the playoff spot today.
Yeah, it's almost locked up.
It's pretty much locked up. But the Jets, it says here, I found a stat, 88% chance to draft in the top 10. So,
yeah, at 8-6, I could see that. I could see that.
So, for the Steelers and for the Jets.
The Jets are going to draft in the top 10 or the Steelers are drafting?
The Jets.
Okay,
I'm
sorry. I heard Steelers.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. The Jets. Jets, 88% chance to draft in the top 10.
Yeah, I could see that.
Are you
5-9.
tanking? Are you tanking if you're the Jets?
I don't think you have to tank.
Okay.
I don't think you have to tank because you're playing the Steelers at home in an environment where they're extremely comfortable at playing at. They're a cold weather team. Duck Hodges is getting them just enough to be competitive. The defense is keeping them in the games.
Yeah.
The Watt is playing out of his mind, potentially defensive player of the year. That's TJ Watt, not JJ Watt.
Right.
So if Connor's back healthy, he's running the ball. Hodges can go to his tight ends, move the ball, move the sticks. Tomlin, coach of the year. I see the Steelers just continuing to move forward at a steady pace, ball control, big time defense, playoff football late in the year.
I mean, it's almost a given. I mean, you have to give Tomlin coach of the year at this point.
He has nothing.
He's got nothing.
Nothing.
And they're
fourth string quarterback free agent.
And you think about it, in the last couple of years, like 2 or 3 years, there's been grumblings in Pittsburgh, about Tomlin, and like people kind of oh, he's been there too long, they're struggling and this and that. He's lost it, bro. He got it back. He got it back, and he got that defense back.
And that's the key. I think that was the biggest key. They needed to replicate what their success was and what their identity was, and it was defense. Mm-hmm. Grab your lunch pail, grab your hard hat, go to work. They got rid of the distractions. I'm not saying Le'Veon was a distraction, but they got rid of AB.
Antonio Brown,
was a distraction. Le'Veon wanted some more money. They had to make a decision. They made it, and they were steadfast in their decision. Le'Veon went to a different place. Respect.
Okay.
The Connor has been consistent enough to get them over the hump to consistently win, not be elite, but win and stay relevant. I'm not saying they're going to make a lot of noise in the playoffs, but they're still over 500. They're still being successful, and they're 2 or 3 pieces away, especially when Big Ben comes back and being healthy. If they get a premier receiver, they have all the pieces in place.
And so you mentioned Big Ben, and I want to rewind a little bit when you talked about the distractions of Le'Veon Bell, Antonio Brown, getting rid of those. Is Ben Roethlisberger a distraction for the Steelers?
I think Ben Roethlisberger has so much equity built up that he can be a distraction. He won 2 Super Bowls for that organization. Mm-hmm. He's had to be the bad guy and make big, hard decisions, maybe that the GM didn't want to, on Antonio Brown.
Right.
But in hindsight, it's all 2020. It was the right move for Big Ben to be maybe a little bit of a a-hole.
Yeah.
To get AB out and be, for the greater good, be the bad guy.
I can see that. And I think you're right. I think, that's a great word to use, is equity. He has built up equity. He has earned the right, per se, to be a little bit of a, dickhead, for lack of better words. But
I was trying to keep PG, but
yeah.
we're going to do what we're going to do.
I'm sorry.
I'm
sorry. My bad. Sorry, Mom.
It's all good.
Sorry, Mom. I just feel like this team, they are doing this without Ben Roethlisberger, right? Uh-huh. And they're playing as a team, and there's not any division. I think Big Ben kind of caused some division a little bit.
Yeah.
And you mentioned it. I mean, it was kind of a necessary evil to, get AB out, to kind of, basically clean house.
Right.
But I think, it's almost to the point where, okay, well, how much does Big Ben have left? I mean, if you're the Steelers, you have maybe 2 or 3 more years of Big Ben.
Yeah, maybe 2 or 3.
Okay.
But that's where I was going with it. And Big Ben makes them elite.
Okay.
The team they have on the field, they're just winning. They're above average.
Okay.
And that's what I wanted to identify mostly.
Okay. I get that point. I'm not.
But I'm going to tell you this. I'm going to tell you this. Whoever they draft, that quarterback that they bring in, Big Ben, you better suck up your pride and you better train the young man as best as you can be. And I know you don't want to, and you've expressed that. You've expressed that very definitively in the past. But you know what? If you want to be a part of this organization later on after you're done playing, which I think you do, you need to go ahead and pass that torch and be the bigger man and play and pay out those dividends to the next up-and-coming quarterback, because when the Steelers are successful, your legacy survives.
Right.
And that's something you want to take into consideration.
Yeah, and I think, everybody knows how Big Ben feels about, bringing in a protege and trying to help that guy out. But I think you're absolutely right. He has to do that. And, the Steelers right now, I think even Steelers fans, they're realistic.
Yeah.
I think there are a lot of like Cowboys fans. They're like, okay, yeah, we're going to, might get in the playoffs. We're not going to do much.
Right.
We're not going to do much in the playoffs.
Don't tell your friends, the Lockery brothers, and don't tell John Kalunga. Don't tell.
No. But that's what I'm saying, because I've talked to Jeremy Chubby.
Okay.
He's not, he's a huge Steelers fan, and we've had this conversation. He was like, dude, I love my Steelers. I just, they're making the playoffs. I just don't expect them a whole lot from them.
Well, don't tell John then.
Yeah, I know.
Don't tell King Kalunga.
All right. We won't tell. We'll tell King Kalunga. All right, let's go through some of these other, just lame ones. Giants versus Redskins. Line on that.
Washington 1-point favorite at the house.
It's a toss up.
Yeah,
I'm gonna go Giants.
Yeah, I like the Giants too. I think Saquon is the difference. But if Haskins gets hot, I mean, if Haskins gets hot, and the other thing too is he's making Adrian Peterson look like AD. I mean, Adrian Peterson is running with a different kind of energy that I've seen in the past couple of weeks from the Redskins.
All right, Bengals versus Dolphins.
Bengals at Dolphins, the Tank Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
Cincinnati a 2-point favorite on the road in Miami. I'm not buying this for a minute. Cold weather team, subtropical environment, like I was previewing earlier, ain't gonna happen. I don't care if Andy Dalton's throwing the ball. Fitzmagic shows up, they get the W in Miami.
And I liked how last week, AJ Green was like, "Oh, hey, by the way, I'm not gonna play this year."
Yeah, we know. It's 3 games away from the end of the year.
They're like, "Thanks, bro. Thanks for the update." I'm gonna go Dolphins on that one. You went Dolphins.
Yes, I did.
Yep. Raiders versus Chargers.
The Raiders.
Damn Raiders.
Chargers 7.5-point favorite. Wow.
So yeah, I mean, Raiders are pretty much done. They're all but eliminated. I mean, they're kind of like the Browns. At this point, there's like this really, really, really tiny window that they could actually get in, but I don't. A loss by the Raiders makes it official. They're gonna be out. What was the line again?
7.5-point favorite for the Chargers.
I might take the Chargers to cover that. I think I'm going to.
Yeah, you taking the Chargers to cover that? Yeah, you are.
Damn it, man.
Yes, you are.
Damn it. I hate how we're agreeing on these. Lions versus Broncos.
Lions at Broncos. Denver 7-point favorite. No Stafford.
Denver 7-point favorite. Lions, no Stafford. They still got Blau.
Yes, whatever that French name.
Bleu,
Man, you on point with the French names this year.
Parlez-vous français?
Ladies, Chris, get at that Frenchman.
Man, it's in Denver.
It's in Denver.
Dome team going to Mile High.
Yeah.
But
again, this is coached by a former Bill Belichick coach, and Bill Belichick, his coaching staff, the way he trains is you train in the elements.
Okay.
So maybe, I don't know for sure, but maybe Detroit trains in the elements.
And they got plenty of elements in Detroit.
Yeah, but the other half of the coin is you don't play in thin air in Detroit.
That's true. 7.5 points for Broncos.
Mm-hmm. No, 7 points.
7 points. I'm going to take the Lions. No reason, but I think I'm going to go with Detroit because these games mean absolutely nothing.
I'm not touching that one.
Cowboys. We'll save that one. We'll save that one. We'll save that one. Cardinals versus Seahawks.
Cardinals at Seahawks. Seahawks a 9-point favorite at home.
Wow. Seahawks, they're playing for the possibility for the NFC West title next in a game against the 49ers in week 17.
Mm-hmm.
Cardinals, they're not, they're not, there's not a whole lot of chance for them to like pick in the top 10. They're almost like in this like weird little no man's zone. They're just a win or a loss isn't going to help them in anything.
Yeah.
So I can see why the Seahawks are 9.5 points favorites, and it's hard to go against that, even though it's almost double digits. It's hard to go against that. What do you think?
Let me tell you something, Chris.
Tell me.
There ain't gonna be no procrastination in my prognostication. Let me holler at you real quick. The Cardinals are hitting their stride right now. Kingsbury and Kyler Murray are finally having a well-oiled machine driving the ball down the field. Kyler Murray's extending plays with his feet, and the defense is doing enough to hold up that offense to score and win games. I know they only had 4 on the year. They had a tie earlier in the year against Detroit where Kyler Murray had to come back in an offense he was not experienced with. Now, I think this is where I'm taking 9 points, and I'm taking the Cardinals in a divisional matchup to play spoiler in Seattle and take away home field advantage from the Seahawks.
Wait, so you're saying the Cardinals win this game?
I'm saying the Cardinals could win this game, but I'm taking the 9 points.
Okay, I was about to say.
Could win, but I'm taking the 9 points.
I was like, you going money line on this thing?
They could.
Okay, I'm taking the Seahawks, man, and that's the big reason why is because the Seahawks, they're trying to win the NFC West title.
Yep.
They're at home. They have Russell Wilson, who is obviously no longer the favorite to win the NFL MVP.
Well, how could he?
But
Lamar.
Right, and nobody's blaming, or nobody's saying anything. Nobody's arguing about that.
He's running away with it, literally.
Right, but Russell Wilson's always played with a chip on his shoulder. The Seahawks always play with a chip on their shoulder, and I think with the home field advantage, the difference between the two quarterbacks, I think the Seahawks are going to play their playoff football at this point. I think they're starting. They're a team that they start playing playoff football a week or two out because they're going to be ready once they get there. So I think the Seahawks cover 9. Is it 9 or 9.5?
It's 9.
9.
Yeah.
I'll take Seahawks at 9 points. He shakes his head.
No, man, no.
I'm taking Seahawks. Chiefs versus Bears. The Bears.
KC 6-point favorite on the road.
So that's it.
6 points.
Huh. Interesting. I mean,
cold weather game.
Cold weather game
on the road.
Chiefs are a cold weather team.
The mobility for Mahomes is not great, so that means Mac's going to have a huge game to go ahead and get after him a little bit.
Bears will go ahead.
Offensive line for KC on the right side is not playing as well, so I see that matchup being real favorable for the Bears.
Yeah, and the Bears were eliminated last week.
Yes.
So they're just trying to play spoiler at this point. But the Chiefs, they have a chance to move all the way up to the number 1 seed, right?
Yes.
There's a small chance.
If Baltimore loses and they win.
Yeah. So, but I mean, we don't expect Baltimore to lose, but there's still a chance, so
any given Sunday.
Right. So Chiefs versus Bears, Chiefs 6 points favorites.
Yep.
That's it. That's all they're giving
Yep.
Mahomes.
It's a touchdown.
Yeah.
Touchdown wins.
I got to take the Chiefs. I got
Chiefs
to take that. I got to take that touchdown.
I think they can cover 7.
Yeah. All right. Packers versus Vikings.
Huge divisional matchup. Minnesota, 5.5-point favorite at home. Possibly this would be a divisional matchup to either win or have a tie going into the last game of the year.
This is why this is why I always wait to look at the lines till we get on the podcast because
so you can be surprised.
I'm just like my face was probably like,
Chris was shook.
I was like,
shook.
I mean, because the Packers can clinch the NFC North title with the victory.
Right.
The Vikings secure a playoff spot with a win or a Rams loss. And then the NFC North race would move into week 17.
Yeah.
So, I mean, how many points favorites?
5.5.
5.5. So
Minnesota 5.5.
2 field goals. Man.
Or a missed extra point, which we're starting to see a lot of late in the year. Kicking game, insurance policies.
I'm going Green Bay.
Yeah, I'm going Green Bay too because it's a controlled environment. It's a controlled environment. Green Bay has big body receivers. I think Devontae Adams is their shortest guy at like 6'1". He's got 6'5" and 6'5" with Lazard and company. I mean, Aaron Jones is running the ball out of his mind continuously. So as long as the defense can hold up, the Williams brothers, not by blood, but the Williams brothers, if they can get after Kirk Cousins, then maybe they got a shot.
All right. So
and then Dalvin Cook's questionable.
Yeah. Boone is supposed to be playing Mike Boone.
Yeah. Good luck, Boone.
I got Packers in that. All right. My phone died, so sorry everybody that was on my watch party. Dang it, my stupid phone.
Maybe they're still there.
Maybe they're still there. Cowboys versus Eagles now. This is the last one we haven't talked about, right? We got everybody else.
We got everybody else.
All right, so now let's do our Cowboys talk. Pretty simple. Cowboys clinch the NFC East, eliminate the Eagles from the playoffs with a win. Eagles win. We're playing for all the marbles in Week 17, quote unquote.
Yeah. Well, the Eagles have to lose too.
Well, I'm saying like if the Eagles win today.
Yes.
If the Eagles or tomorrow, sorry. If the Eagles beat the Cowboys, then
Week 17.
Week 17. Cowboys win, NFC East champs. Cowboys go into Philadelphia. What kind of line do we got? I haven't looked at all.
Dallas Cowboys 2-point favorite.
Wow.
2-point favorite.
Field goal.
I just think the boys in the desert are contributing a lot of that to Dak Prescott's finger injury on his throwing hand.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not buying that. I saw the way he threw the ball last week. I think that coaching talk is out the window. I think pride is on the line. Zeke, by the grace of God, got into the Pro Bowl. 3 of his offensive line got into the Pro Bowl, and I think that has been the biggest motivator for them going into the week. We found out this past Tuesday. I think Dallas has a whale of a game. Carson Wentz gets embarrassed by Dallas's defense. D-Law, Quinn get after him tremendously, and if Tony Pollard can continue to do what he's doing, he may have reinvigorated Zeke to harness some of that running style that Zeke was playing with the first and second year of his career in Dallas. So we'll see. I think Tony Pollard, I said it earlier in the season, if him and Zeke can get on the same page and run hard together, they did it last week, Dallas blew out the Rams.
Yeah.
I like Dallas.
And I'm a Cowboys fan.
Yeah, I know. I tried to tell you last week. I tried to tell you.
And I like the Cowboys. I don't like Jason Garrett. I don't like Jerry Jones.
I think that ship sailed.
Yeah.
That ship sailed.
Yeah. Not a big fan of Dak. Sorry, Francesca. My cousin, she loves Dak Prescott. She always gets upset when we talk trash about him.
She's coming around. She's starting to understand. She's like, dang, y'all are right.
I love you, Jessica. Yeah. Anyways, if you've listened to Recon podcasts and you've watched our watch parties, you know that a lot of times when I'm picking these games, it's based on narratives.
Right.
I'm not looking at matchups. I'm not really looking at all these things. I base a lot of my picks on narratives, right? I mean, that's just kind of my thing.
It's the finance in your brain.
Paul, you'll get into the X's and O's, and you'll get into the matchup personnel. Yeah, well, I mean, the personnel matchups and stuff like that. For me, the narrative here is Cowboys are playing for an NFC East title
to repeat as NFC East champions.
They're on the road against Philly, an Eagles team that has been injured up and down. Nobody expects them at all to win the NFC East. I think the Eagles come out tomorrow and possibly win this game. I hate saying it. I hate saying this. But this could be Carson Wentz's big game, right? Like he hasn't played in a major playoff game or any kind of huge matchup to where there's a lot on the line, I mean, can you think of any matchups or anything that Carson Wentz or any games that Carson Wentz has really played in that matches up or equals to the magnitude of this football game?
Hell no, because Nick Foles always comes in and bails him out. That's why Carson Wentz is a choker. He's Tony Romo of the Philadelphia Eagles. He's garbage. He's always getting injured. That's where I see Carson Wentz.
But this is my narrative. This is why I'm afraid of this game as a Cowboys fan because Carson Wentz. This could be his matchup. This could be the turnaround in his career. This could be, something that really, jump starts the Eagles, maybe not for this year, but they're not too far away from a Super Bowl championship. I mean, they know how to win. There's a lot of players on that team and
Carson Wentz
coaches.
One of them.
Right. Well, right. But there's a lot of players on that team that won Super Bowl. Well, he was on the sideline.
He didn't win it. Nick Foles won it, and he's on the bench in Jacksonville.
Yeah, that's true. You're right. But I just think with Carson Wentz, I'm not saying that Carson Wentz is a great quarterback. I'm not saying that at all. But I feel like the narrative in this game is this is Carson Wentz's time to go out there and win one for Philly. In other words.
What have I always said this whole year about players playing outside of themselves, teams playing outside of themselves? When you start playing outside of yourself and not playing your role and staying in your lane, you make mistakes. And that's what Carson Wentz does. He tries to extend plays. He tries to make extra plays on the field with his feet. And he always either gets injured or he gets knocked out of the game to where he can't be successful and he can't play within himself. And that's what Tony Romo did. And that's why Carson Wentz is the Tony Romo of the Philadelphia Eagles. And they will not win again this year, just like they didn't win last year at the end of the season to beat the Cowboys.
And I hope you're right. I hope you're right, and I hope I'm wrong. And I'm just saying, if there's a narrative for the Eagles to win, it would be the Carson Wentz thing.
The other thing is Philadelphia can't stop the run.
That's true. Big game for Zeke. If you got Zeke in your fantasy football championship, you're sitting pretty. All right, so that's week 16. This is ReconAthlete.com podcast, episode number 36. Chris Sanchez, Paul Rodriguez. We want to do a quick overview of the bowl games today.
Yeah, we can.
Okay, and then also, let me check it out. We also want to mention Kreitz Market. Our sponsor, of course, and Lawnman ATX. Shout out to the Schmidt family and shout out to Chris Becker as well. But at Kreitz Market today, it's the Texas Steak Tour 2019. They have basically a steak tasting,
steak competition,
turkey competition. Yeah, I mean, they got all kinds of things going on right now. And you said you when you're on your way up here, Paul, you drove by Kreitz Market and it was lit.
Let me tell you, man, the parking lot, I don't know if anybody's been to the Kreitz location. The parking lot is humongous. It's as big as the building. The entire right quarter of the parking lot was covered with tailgating tents, pinwheel tents, people out there firing up the pits, been probably smoking all night, getting steaks ready, getting everything prepped up. I called John Kalunga real quick, the shipping manager out in Kreitz, and I said, man, what's going on out there?
Yeah.
You having some kind of party, some kind of festival? He was like, no, man, we got this steak competition. Let everybody know on the podcast. So we just wanted to give y'all an invitation. Go check it out. They're having cash prize competition winnings.
Yeah, first place is $1,000.
$1,000, people?
For the steaks. So they have turkey, steak, and beef fajitas.
Man,
turkey. The steak payout. First place is $1,000. Second place $500. Third place $300. Fourth $200. Fifth is $150. 6th through 10th place gets like some kind of awards and prizes. The turkey, that payout. First place gets $100.
Well, here's the other thing that John was telling me.
That's a big difference.
Well, I mean, tell you what, man, beef and turkey, man, that's a big difference in price.
Yeah, that's true.
But John was telling me that if you win this competition, you advance to the national competition that's going to be announced at a later date. But man, everybody go check out Kreitz Market, Lockhart, Texas. Throw it in Google, get you directions, get you some barbecue. Tell John we said what's up.
Yeah, and that's the Texas Steak Tour 2019 down at Kreitz Market in Lockhart, Texas. All right. Today is, of course, Saturday, December 21st, and Celebration Bowl today. Alcorn State versus North Carolina A&T, and that's going to be at Mercedes-Benz Stadium in Atlanta, Georgia. Kickoff time is at noon o'clock.
HBCU in the building.
Yes, what's up?
I like it.
New Mexico Bowl, Central Michigan versus San Diego State. That's in Albuquerque. Don't take a wrong left like Bugs Bunny.
Oh, man.
And Cure Bowl, Liberty versus Georgia Southern. That's at 2:30 on CBS Sports Network. New Mexico Bowl is on ESPN, by the way, 2 o'clock. Celebration Bowl, noon at ABC on ABC. Boca Raton Bowl, Florida Atlantic versus SMU. And we know Lane Kiffin he's already left the campus. He's gone to Ole Miss. Mm-hmm. Ole Miss, right? Yeah.
Yep.
But FAU versus SMU, Boca Raton, Florida, in the Boca Raton Bowl, 3:30 on ABC. Thoughts on this game, Paul? I know this is a Texas team. You know, we kind of like to talk Texas teams here.
Yeah, for sure. And I see SMU having a big game. Earlier in the week, we saw that the line was 3 points.
Mm-hmm.
It's moved. So now SMU is a 7-point favorite. Going into this matchup, I think everybody's kind of understanding that the head coach, Lane Kiffin, is not there anymore.
Yeah.
And they're saying, hey, this is probably going to be a big game for SMU to come back. They haven't played in a bowl game in a minute, and they've had 10 wins since the 80s. So I think that's why a lot of people are putting their money on back in the SMU Mustangs.
Yeah, so shout out to SMU Mustangs. Hopefully they get that win, they get that 10 wins. That's to be big for their program. The Camellia Bowl, Arkansas State versus Florida International. That's going to be in Montgomery, Alabama, 5:30 kickoff on ESPN. And then Las Vegas Bowl. Guess where that one's at?
Yeah.
It's in Las Vegas.
Vegas.
Boise State versus Washington, and it's Boise, not Boise.
Yeah, I always say Boise.
Don't.
I shouldn't, but I do.
They get upset.
I know, like Waxahachie.
Yeah, it's Waxahachie.
Yeah, I know.
Boise State versus Washington. Is there a line on that?
Washington, 3.5-point favorite.
I wasn't asking any lines for these other ones because I didn't.
It's all good.
I didn't want
This is a big matchup.
but this is a big one. Washington 3.5.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty close.
Yeah, I agree.
That's pretty close.
It's a good toss up right there.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know enough about these teams to make a pick on that one.
Yeah, that Pac-12 football is way too late for me.
Shout out Stefano, who always stays up.
Yeah, Stefano.
Stefano loves Pac-12. He's like a Pac-12 guy. New Orleans Bowl, Appalachian State versus UAB. That's at 9 o'clock tonight, so that's almost like a Pac-12 game on ESPN. So
Appalachian 17-point favorite.
wow,
Domination.
wow,
Domination.
wow, that's crazy. So those are the bowl games today. Of course, I'm not sure how much, what the ratings are going to be like for those bowl games because of these NFL games they're going to be on that are so big. But, if you love football, you can do the whole thing.
Today's the day if you love football.
Yeah, you do the whole thing where you have, your football, your TV on one game, you got your laptop over here, maybe your iPad or something else over here. You got, multiple screens going on if you're staying home.
NFL.
Or,
yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, the NFL. Yeah, or you go somewhere that's got plenty of screens and hang out. I'm not going to mention anything because we're still looking for sponsorships. Lockery.
Wink, wink.
Wink, wink. But yeah, I mean, you find a good spot to hang out at, or if you just want to chill at home. Multiple screens, bowl games, NFL games,
high school games,
UIL state games, all kinds of games going on today. And let's go ahead and get into that.
Yeah.
UIL state championships going on right now. We can shout out to the state champions that have been crowned already. 6-man Division I. Blum over McLean, 58-52. 6-man, and that was December 18th. That was on what, Wednesday?
Yes.
Yeah, Wednesday. Also on Wednesday, 6-man Division II, Richland Springs over Matador Motley County, 62-16. Richland Springs pretty much dominated that one.
Yeah, man.
Oh, well, wow. And then finally on Wednesday, Conference 2A, Division I, Refugio over Post, 28-7. All right, and then on Thursday we had Hamlin and Mart, and that was 2A Division II. Mart with the 25-20 win. 3A Division I, we had Grandview versus Pottsboro. Grandview with the 42-35 win. And Paul, you watched that game.
Man, I was working and I had the games on in the background in my office.
Yeah, and because I had seen Grandview in the semifinal over here at Kelly Reeves. I kind of talked about it on the pod. I talked to you guys about it, like on the messenger, and told you about the guys to watch out for on Grandview, and you watched a little bit of it, and you said that you were impressed by some of these guys on this 3A team that look like they're a legitimate team.
I mean, we're blessed to watch college or watch high school football in the Austin area, and we have a great number of teams all over the city and the surrounding areas that have high-level athletes. I mean, we're talking about, Alfred Collins at Cedar Creek. He's a big-time recruit. Of course, we have great recruits all over the Austin area. But these young men at a 3A school with enrollment probably under 400 or 500 for the school, I mean, their athletes are 4 and 5 star guys, and the competition level was not even disparate at all. Like these guys could walk in, play at an elite school here in Austin, and dominate just as well as they did last night. But the one thing that stuck out to me the most was those lids, man. Those zebra helmets were so dope.
Yeah, right.
I was like, man, we got to get some of these schools around here to rock some of those. But, Grandview, too much athleticism, too much speed, outlasted their opponent for the big W in the state title.
Yeah, so shout out to Grandview Zebras. Yeah, they were very impressive when I saw them play last week. All right, Conference 3A Division 2, Gunther.
That's a German town right there, baby.
Beating Omaha Pewitt 43-22. That was Thursday, and then
the Pied Pipers.
Then is that what it is?
They're the Paul Pewitt Pied Pipers, yeah.
Pied Pipers, sweet. Yesterday, of course, we had La Vega versus Carthage. Carthage with the 42-28 win. Paul sounds like he wants to talk about that game.
Man, Keontae's brother, running back at Texas.
Keontae Ingram.
Keontae Ingram's brother, Kelante, I think that was the way you pronounce his name. Man, that young man has speed for days. But that wasn't the only players on that team. Carthage their athleticism just pulled away in the end. I mean, Vega had as many good athletes as Carthage, but gosh, dog, the speed overall was just a big disparity. And when I got through watching that game, I'm like, man, this is like a 5A team that I could see these guys competing with, like some of the 5A Division II schools around here.
Yeah,
I was like, man, they should be playing up here.
Yeah, very, very impressive. All right, also yesterday, Texarkana Pleasant Grove over Wimberley 35-21. Shout out to the Texans, man. I mean,
they played their heart out, man.
They did.
They forced 2 turnovers early in the first half, and I was like, man, they're keeping them in the game. They're keeping them in the game. But that running back for Pleasant Grove, man, number 2, that dude could run for days, man.
Yeah,
and he's a BYU commit.
Yeah, and Wimberley, made it back to the state title game. First time since 2011 when they won back then, when they had Brady Lambert at quarterback. That kid. The funny thing about that kid was he won a state title with Aledo.
And came to Wimberley
and transferred to Wimberley, and won a state title with Wimberley.
Must be nice.
Well, like his story was he wanted to play quarterback, but he was playing linebacker at Aledo, and he wasn't going to play quarterback at Aledo. So he moved down and
For all you dads out there,
played Wimberley.
If you want your kid to play quarterback at a small school.
And he ended up playing quarterback for Wimberley, did a really good job, and brought them home a state title back in 2011.
Nice.
All right, so also last night, another big matchup, 5A Division I, Alvin Shadow Creek 28, Denton Ryan 22.
Shadow Creek, man, those Sharks. When Zach had previewed them earlier in the year, or earlier in the bi-district rounds, I was like, man, I don't know about this Shadow Creek. And then saw what they did to Manor.
Yeah.
And
Hutto.
In that region, on the Hutto, the first in the bi-district, or the area.
Yeah.
Man, I was like, nah, they ain't about it. Mess around. Second straight year appearance in the state title game, 5A Division I. Second year, state title.
Right.
Well.
Yeah, 2 state title appearances, 1 for 2. All right, so today's game, we got 3 left, 3 state titles to be determined. Got right now, it's going on right now. I don't know what the score is, but Aledo versus Fort Bend Marshall. 3 o'clock, the kickoff is going to be Duncanville and Galena Park North Shore. And then, of course, the big one for the Austin area tonight, 7 o'clock kickoff from AT&T Stadium. Fox Sports Southwest is where you can watch the Westlake Chaparrals take on Denton Guyer, the Wildcats. And looks like 14-7, Aledo up on Marshall. Second quarter just started. 11:52 left there. Well, and I know we broke down the Guyer Westlake game, back on Tuesday. But any final thoughts? What's going on? I know Westlake had their big send off this morning. Snoop Daniel was over there. Shout out Snoop. We'll try to fix your rearview mirror today. You want to drive to Houston or drive to Dallas without his rearview mirror. But yeah, Snoop was over there. He hit us up on Messenger. He's like, I was like, hey, well, how's the send off? He just put a ton of people.
Yeah, man.
And I'm sure there
Had to
was.
been.
And I'm sure there was. I don't think we've changed. There's nothing that's happened between Tuesday and today that has changed our mind about who's going to win or who we think is going to win this football game, who our pick is. You and I both think the Westlake Chaparrals are in a very good position, quarterback wise, health wise, defensively. They have the weapons to close out this state title. Zach, we found he didn't want to make a pick on air.
He didn't want to make it on air.
But we found it.
So for everybody who doesn't know,
we found it.
Every big matchup for the Austin area, we put out on our Instagram story a poll. And you have the opportunity to participate, come in, voice your opinion with a vote just by clicking a button. And Mr. Lucero, unbeknownst to anybody verbally, voted Denton Guyer for the state title state title matchup, 6A Division II today. I told you, I sent you that snapshot last night.
I know. Zach.
So I was telling Chris, I go, Zach's either going to own this or he's going to be quiet about it.
Yeah.
And we'll have the proof to verify after today's matchup. We'll have him here. We're going to do our show Monday with Christmas Eve being on Tuesday. So we'll be able to go ahead and visit about that depending on the outcome.
Tisk, Zach. I'm disappointed in you, son.
Well, I got to give him props for voting, though.
That's true.
He usually just doesn't like to take a stance.
Yeah, he finally made a pick. So.
Oh, by the way, he doesn't know we know until right now.
Yeah. Shout out to Zach Lucero. All right. Well, that just about wraps it up for us here. ReconAthlete.com, episode number 36. Man, we did an hour. Yeah, I was like, before we came on, I was like, hey, man, this is going to be real quick, we talk too much.
We do it for y'all. We do it for everybody out there.
For the fans. Don't forget the Texas steak tour going on at Kreitz Market today. I'm sure they're going to have some samples out there. I mean,
for sure.
I mean, if you show up.
You could be a judge out there.
Yeah.
Judging the competition.
So, quick trip down 183. You can even get on the toll to get there even faster. And, check out Kreitz Market. They got everything going on. We're still on target, I think, for January 18th, doing our broadcast from Kreitz Market as well. So we need to make a trip down there so we can kind of, get a little lay of the land.
For sure.
And do that. And shout out to Kalunga. He hooked me up with another ham
nice.
for our office potluck yesterday. It was a hit.
Nice.
It was a hit, dude. I mean, like everybody was like, "Oh my gosh, this is the most delicious ham ever, dude." I was like, "Dude, yeah." I mean, if you're still, are they still taking orders right now? You think
the orders for Christmas have already been sent out? But if you're looking for New Year's, if you have a college bowl party coming up, the Longhorns are in the Alamo Bowl. If you got something for New Year's, you might want to give them a call.
Yeah, the big game, as they say, because we can't say Super Bowl, but even though I just did.
Sorry, NFL.
But yeah, you got playoffs. It's the holiday season, so like you said,
the holiday season.
Yeah.
Sorry, guys.
Yeah, I know. So, anyways, all right. Well, I appreciate everybody that joined us on the watch party today. Shout out to Zach. Shout out to Snoop. Shout out to the Lockery boys with them Steelers. Kalunga as well. Kreitz Market. Shout out for y'all sponsorship and Chris Becker and the Becker family. Lawn Man ATX. All right, Paul. Good job today, man.
Man, we did a good job.
I know. We're going to pat ourselves on the back before we leave.
Awesome. Well, I got to get on the road soon, too, though.
All right, brother.
All right, guys. Appreciate it. Thank y'all very much for watching tonight. If y'all really enjoy it, share this with somebody. Maybe there's somebody that's a sports fan just like you. Would love to hear our content. Again, like, subscribe, leave a comment down below. Tell us if you think Zach really voted or not, and we'll show you. Also, hit the bell for the notifications. We gone.